Alright, YouTube, today's going to be quite a bit different on this YouTube video. What we got here is we have, before I actually started DJing, strictly DJing and doing photography and video services, my business actually started out as an installation services and tech services. So I still do a few contracts like that, not many, because most of the business actually does come from live DJing events. But essentially what you're going to see here is an installation of a sound system and computer system for a church. You'll see here in this video right here, I'm unloading the car, my Tahoe. Essentially what I have in the totes and stuff is two computer systems, which we have a computer system for their office, and then I have a computer system that's also for their sound system. And both of these systems are actually going to end up running Linux software. And for those who don't know, Linux is just an open source software. Keeps costs down, and essentially I know how to set all this stuff up and use the terminals and get it all running so it's real user friendly. So what I essentially did before I even got here is pre-prep these computers that they ordered to put them in and do the install. So we'll get into it. So what we got here first is, you can see I'm working with my iPad, and essentially what we're doing is we're going through and I'm getting what I call a survey. So this is where I take pictures of everything the way it's set up currently before I get in there and start working, and then that way I have reference pictures in case there's something that I may mess up and need to go back and redo. But essentially I'm going to have to actually redo this whole sound system once I get into it, as you'll see. You have to excuse some of the camera work, but I originally was going to put it on a tripod, but one of the ladies at the church said she'd help me shoot the video, so I thought, oh, okay, that'll be fine. Sure, you want to just kind of see what I'm doing, we can talk, get it all set up. So what you have here is their camera work. I guess they thought that they were supposed to hold it vertical like a cell phone, so eventually I tell them to turn it sideways so it'll be easier to edit. No biggie though. I always appreciate any extra help. Again, here's this tote full of equipment that I had, desktop computers, monitors, all that type of stuff. Again, they ordered it and I used secondhand products to get it all put together to cut down on their cost for them. So it took a little bit of resource and equipment, but essentially we got everything ordered for them once we did what we had to do to get the equipment in there for them. And one of the places I do a lot of local sourcing is a place not far from where I live at, and I'll give him a shout out, PC Virus Tech in Rogersville, Tennessee. Essentially he helped me basically get some low cost keyboards and mice and some adapters and stuff, so I didn't have to pay out of pocket for everything that the client was actually ordering. So even though they paid for it, essentially I was able to cut their costs by getting it from a third party. As you'll see right here, I'm putting in a USB 2.0 cable. What this cable essentially does is it connects to the monitor, and when it connects to the monitor, it'll go down to the desktop, and then once it goes down to the desktop, essentially what it'll do is it'll make two available USB ports right on the monitor. And then I also move in and put the VGA, the blue cable, in, which gives us our video signal. You may be wondering why I'm doing this whole vlog as a voiceover. Mainly the audio from the church wasn't going to be good for this type of thing because they were doing some practice at the church. So if I was trying to talk as I was doing it, you guys would hear like piano playing and church singing, because the choir was practicing while I was doing the setup. So that's the reason why everything here is being done through a voiceover. And as you see right here, you'll see I have an XLR male to a 1/4 inch, 3.5 millimeter, not 1/4 inch, a 3.5 millimeter jack cable, like an aux end. Essentially what this is this will get everything into their mixer from the computer over to the mixer. Pretty standard cable to order, but because their mixer required all XLR inputs, that's the way that I decided to get this put in. I also could have used an RCA tape in, but I found that the XLR cable is just easier to use. And then right here what I'm doing is I'm pointing out the sound card for the computer. Essentially, this sound card is more of a complex PC sound card that has a lot of ins and outs, but I was originally going to plug it up into this sound card, but then I found out when I ran the system that it actually sound better coming out of the front panel sound card, so that's where the sound card I ended up using, which you guys won't see in this video, but just know that there is a sound card on the front just as it was in the back. Alright, and then here, this is where we get to the nitty gritty. Essentially, I have my toolbox here with actual real tools. We got my spade bits, jigsaw, drills, all that stuff I had to get prepped up because I was actually getting ready to do some actual manual labor to get this installed and get it all cleaned up, as you'll see. And this right here is where I say some of the kindergarten skills came in. So I had to connect the dots. So essentially what I was doing is I was creating just a open panel in order to create 4 pilot holes, which are the 4 holes that I stick the jigsaw into, and then cut the square out so we can run all the cables out. So you'll see me do this now.
Some days feel heavy, some nights run long. Some days you wonder how you keep holding on. This morning, beating right. There's something that's enough. There's enough to be known. You've been through the worst, and you're still here. Still breathing, still standing, still showing up every year. Oh, yeah. You know how. Oh, yes, you do. You
Got it on camera?
keep going. Hey, hey. Ooh, you don't need to be perfect. You don't gotta be strong. You just gotta keep going. Keep on moving on and drifting on. You gotta keep going.
Got it?
One step,
Recording.
one more day. Going, even alright. You know you got it. You gotta keep going. I know it's been hard, it's been heavy. Hey now, you're gonna be alright. Keep going.
And I hate to do any job and leave a mess, so one thing you'll see here is me doing a little house cleaning. So you'll notice I went back to asked one of the ladies at the church, said, "Hey, do you have a vacuum cleaner?" Because I forgot to bring my portable one. And they said, "Yeah, we got one." So they gave me the vacuum cleaner, and I did a little cleanup as I was going, so it'd be easier at the end of the setup, so I didn't leave a big mess afterwards. Alright, so now that I'm done with a little cleaning, I'm back to putting the sound system in. As you'll see, I'm getting all of the cables lined into the computer so I can run them forward through up to the sound system, but I like to put all the cables in the computer first so it's easier to do the runs. And at this point, all I had to do was just get power to all the stuff, run all the power cables in, and then I'm going to start leading into the dreaded part, which was all the cable management that I had to clean up, which wasn't too bad, but it was just basically I had to remove a whole bunch of stuff and kind of just start from scratch. I was initially going to try to keep as much as possible, but it didn't work out that way. you'll see right here, they had XLR cables that ran into everything, which was fine. All that was actually done correctly, but essentially you couldn't tell from an engineer standpoint, if somebody was to come and run the sound system, you wouldn't know what was what, because they have 4 wireless microphones, which also help them get proper microphones for their use, and then their lapel setup. But essentially, if any engineer came in here and had to run the sound system, they would have no idea. They would have to just kind of play around with stuff until they figured it out. So one of the goals that the pastor was asking me when they hired me to do this was to essentially make it easier for anyone to kind of just jump in there and understand what's going on, which you'll see a little bit later how we color code everything. You also see here that this is just all the wires and the mess that I had to clean up, which included their Wi-Fi router and their modem, which I know how to put all that stuff back in if we had to take it apart, and then the rack system, which is like a kind of like a mixer as well, which they weren't using. It was just kind of there as basically like a box to hold the mics on. So all that stuff ended up getting pulled out and set to the side to kind of clean it up and make it a lot tighter and cleaner. And then you'll see right here they had the DVD players. We got rid of that too, because essentially what the church was doing was running music CDs off of DVD players, which is fine. Audibly it would work perfectly fine. And there was a disc changer under there too, but I think it was one of those things where it was more work than what it was worth. So that was one thing that the installation of the PC would do, because it allows us to update and use USB software, technically internet, which we disabled the internet on this particular PC, and then CDs, because it has a CD reader. So they just pop a CD and make copies of the CD and build out a playlist with the software that was on there, which would help them program a plan. So getting rid of all of this and then basically saying, hey, we don't need it anymore, was our goal. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just put in like a hot EDM track or something and kind of time lapse you through this, because basically what I'm having to do is clean up all the cables, disconnect everything, and kind of start over from scratch, which was about majority of this work, was just cleaning up like all of the extra cables before, so I could plug everything else in. So I eventually got to a point where I was like, okay, we need to do another box to run these cables easier through this other side where the cables were running, because the hole was there was fine, but it was all these cables running through one hole, and it needed to be a bigger hole so it'd be easier to do upgrades, add stuff, take stuff in and out. So I did another square box just like I did the first box, in order to make it a little bit easier on the user end. Right here's one of the crazy parts, because whoever had initially put the sound system in, they probably had like maybe about 100-foot run on the sound system in order to hook up adapters, basically speakers that were, or not speakers but microphones essentially, that were, I don't know, not even like 2 foot away from each other. So this 100-foot cable was just unnecessary. So pulled it out, wrapped it up, and zip tied it up, and basically threw it to the side and said we're done with that as well. Alright, and then here we are again. We're back into cleaning up cables again, getting everything took out, and I'm going to fast forward you guys through this because this is just kind of boring. It's me pulling all the cables, wrapping it up, and essentially doing just that. So as you'll see. Now, I don't know if this is the proper way of wrapping cables, but this is the way I do it. I usually wrap it around my arm and keep them kind of loose, especially for really long cables. I find that it's just easier to run them if you keep them loose and just kind of secure them with either cables or ties, and then have an easy throw on them. I know there's probably like a couple other ways. I've heard DJs call things like figure eight and stuff, but I just know that this is a real easy way to roll them up, tie them up, and call it a day when you're trying to just store them. So As you'll see, I'm wrapping these cables loose so they don't break and they still have some life on them, but just kind of getting rid of all the excess cables was our goal here. Alright, and so this is the point where I have pretty much everything we need set out, and it's just finishing up, so everything's cleaned up and basically just needs to be put in and hooked up correctly, but essentially all the work part of it's done, and it's just the hookups. Alright, and then what you're getting now is you're going to see some live reactions of the I guess it's the choir director. It's the main person who does the music, like the piano and stuff like that, kind of showing them just the basis, since they're the only person that was there while I was putting it in, just so they could kind of see how the system was done. And you'll see that I've kind of made a custom wallpaper too, so they could have their church on it, plus know who to call if they had any kind of technical issues or wanted a new installation or wanted to order some kind of new service from me. So that's just kind of like built-in marketing basically here.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Oh,
Yeah, I want to look.
you gotta look at this. It's a picture of our church, and it has who did it, installed it, so they would know. Look at that.
So
Oh my gosh.
I just got Bing Crosby Christmas, so that way I know what it sounds like.
That's something to do with his computer.
Let's hit this little button. Let me find the button down here.
Button, there's a button.
Oh, definitely. And then one thing that they asked me to order was some indicators. So we have all the microphones and stuff up front. So I ordered these for them, and essentially these are just I forget what they're called, but I call them microphone rings. Essentially, they're color coded and they keep the microphones from falling if somebody lays them on the table. Again, a lot of this is all color coordination with the mixer, so an engineer can kind of jump in there and see what's going on and know what they're doing before they even start. So just making the process easier for them. Alright guys, so essentially after I got all that done and everything, microphone set, everything, the other part of the job was putting together their office system. Also, this was using Linux. Essentially, I was going to use a Windows 10 system initially, and then just ran into issues with the computer. It was running slow. It's already updated to Windows 11, and the church just doesn't have the funding to be trying to put that much money into something that they basically could do Google Sheets and stuff on. So they just kind of wanted a home-based system to do it off of. So I built this system again out of ordered used parts and stuff, and put the software into it, running Linux, and then using secondhand keyboards and mouse, just again to cut costs. So something that would normally run a client, $500, $600 to buy a new computer, do this, do that, essentially can run them quite a bit of a fraction of that cost, just because we're using secondhand gear and new software that is open source, but essentially cuts a lot of costs for low-cost businesses or charity things. So that's what a lot of my business tries to focus on when we're doing installation, is because you could go with the big boys and get a big system, big computers, $1,000 systems, $1 million systems really. But essentially my goal is to be able to provide affordable services to people who just don't have those resources. Because if you're tech savvy enough, you don't have to spend millions of dollars to get something accomplished. It's just really just kind of knowing what you're working with and what your budget is, and kind of scaling that where I'm making some profit, they're making some profit, and essentially we're not, draining the swamp, as they say, so people can still function, and nobody gets rich off of anybody, but they can all kind of function. So that's kind of like my economic philosophy for running this business, is that I shouldn't be charging so much that they're struggling afterwards, that we both mutually can benefit. So as you'll see here, we're putting in like I said, a used system, getting everything set up, Wi-Fi cards, things like that, and I'm putting in their office system to get everything running there. And guys, like I said, this is kind of the boring part, because essentially what they're going to be doing is emails, documents, printing off, statements, stuff like that. So there's not a lot to really be excited about with this particular application. Just know it's a monitor, keyboard, mouse, and some software to run spreadsheets. And like that, this is what we do. This is some of the services that my business provides. Obviously, we do DJ, photography, and videography, but we do sound installations and various different computer-based services if someone needs them. We try to focus more into the audio field and video and production side, but sometimes clients just want to get it all in one, and they'll say, hey, if you can do an installation for a computer that's like for sound affordable, can you do an office setup, which is actually somewhat easier. So we do provide those services across the board, and budget it too for small installations. So if you're interested in getting obviously DJ and photography services, reach out. But also if you're looking for services for your church or maybe a community event or maybe even your venue, if you own a venue, feel free to reach out to me. We can talk sound, we can talk speakers, we can talk budget, and we can really try to figure out if there's a way for me to come in and do what you need done, or if you want to go with like a bigger system, bigger sound system, bigger company, they can do a larger scale productions. You know, I would suggest that anybody look into both options depending on what you're scaling. But that's the end of this vlog, and again, I hope you enjoyed this. It was a learning experience for a lot of people, and I think that these vlogs are beneficial for anybody who's looking for this type of work to be done. So again, if you're looking for services, reach out.